This is the Philips EVNIA 49M2C8900, and I'm gonna need a break. Oh, much better. This absolute monster, like I said, is the Philips EVNIA 8900, specifically the 49M2C8900, because it's not to be confused with the other EVNIA 8900 that's a 42-inch 4K OLED. This is a 49-inch super ultra-wide, hope you can tell, a 32:9 aspect ratio monitor with 5120 pixels across and 1440 vertically. It, much like the smaller 8600 that I've been using full time, is a QD or Quantum Dot OLED panel, which in my experience is the best type of OLED panel available right now. Being a QD OLED panel, it has a pretty conventional pixel layout, which means you completely avoid all of the fringing issues with text that RWGB OLEDs often have. The big difference, besides the size and resolution, between this and the 8600 is that this has the higher 240Hz refresh rate. An impressive feat considering that it has, well, considerably more pixels to push per frame. Now physically, you can think of this as two 27-inch 1440p monitors glued together in the middle. That's pretty much what you get here. Despite this being the same height as a 27-inch monitor and the EVNIA 8600 I'm so used to, when you're sat in front of it, it looks really quite short. It's a bit of an optical illusion. Despite that shortcoming though, the width wholly makes up for it by completely filling your peripheral vision. Like, if you were using this as a monitor with like word processing or web browsing, you will be fully turning your head to see from side to side. For gaming though, that becomes one hell of an advantage because it's so immersive. The gentle 1800R curve helps with that too, truly sucking you in to the game world. When it works, this is by far the most engaging gaming experience you can have on a monitor. It's sharp, crisp, vibrant, and super responsive. For competitive games, being able to see such a wide field of view could legitimately be a competitive advantage. And for more story-driven games, the ability for the monitor to literally surround you makes it a genuinely phenomenal experience. Not to burst the bubble already, but the key thing that I said there was when it works. Because 32:9 is just not supported well. Games like Rainbow Six Siege straight up will not run at 5120 by 1440. It will do 21:9 for regular ultrawides, but for this, you just get black bars or don't play the game. And games like Starfield seem to do a really horrible, like, dynamic stretching effect reminiscent of the old Eyefinity days, where anything on the sort of periphery gets stretched out. Weirdly, the HUD elements seem to get squeezed instead. The status display in the lower left is noticeably ovular. Even games like CS2, which do seem to support running at the full resolution, don't list 32:9 as one of the supported aspect ratios, so you just have to know that you can leave it on the whole widescreen 60:9 setting and just select the full 5120 by 1440 resolution from the drop-down list. Equally, functionally no content is made for 32:9 displays, so you will either have half the display filled with a regular 16:9 video, or black bars at the sides whenever you full screen anything. Even films are mastered for 21:9. If you can find some supported games though, it's easily one of the best gaming experiences you can have. Being an OLED, response times are functionally instant, making for an incredibly crisp motion effect, and coupled with the 240Hz refresh rates, it's an excellent experience. Input latency is spot on too, with OSRTT reporting around half the refresh rate worth of latency, which is exactly what you want to see. As is typical for OLEDs, the brightness isn't amazing, with the Spider X2 reporting just 250 nits of peak brightness. Now, that is exactly what Philips claims and is completely standard for an OLED like this, but subjectively, I find that OLEDs, especially these QD-OLEDs, appear a lot brighter than they measure. It's quite a subjective experience, of course, but I test an awful lot of monitors up here with my bright studio lights on, and plenty of 300-400 nit displays end up looking dimmer than this, at least to my eye. Now that might be the glossy coating versus the matte coating that basically all other displays come with these days, but I thought it was worth mentioning that the figures aren't always everything. With that said, here's some more figures. The contrast ratio is infinite, as you would expect, but what surprised me is how vibrant this thing looks. Content that you can find to fit it looks so rich and really pops. It's genuinely beautiful to look at, and it turns out that that's because this has possibly the widest color gamut coverage I have ever tested, with over 100% of the DCI-P3 spectrum and over 100% of the Adobe RGB color space too. It even manages 86% of the new Rec 2020 color space, which is astonishing as an astonishing feat, especially for a display that isn't labeled as a reference monitor. Accuracy is great too, with an average delta E of 1.66, which is in line with the calibration report that comes in the box. While that accuracy figure isn't perfect, there are a couple of results that are over the sort of target of delta E of 2. You would want to calibrate it to make sure that it's spot on if you are going to do any color sensitive work. The sheer fact that this is so damn vibrant and just stunning to look at is a serious advantage. On the physical side of things, I really like the styling here too. It follows the same style as all the other EVNIA models, with either matte white or marbled white sort of plastic on the legs, and you still get the Philips Ambiglow across the back and sides. And if you do happen to have this up against a wall, that makes for one hell of an experience with the follow video mode on. You can turn it off completely if you would rather though, or stick it on a bunch of modes including the rainbow wave like I have it here. As you might expect, the stand offers a decent amount of adjustability in tilt, height, and even swivel. And I have to add that the stand itself is not, cheap plastic, it's absolutely solid. It's a solid chunk of metal and is ridiculously sturdy. If you would rather VESA mount this thing, they do include an adapter in the box, although you might struggle to find one that is rated for the weight of this thing. The on-screen menu is the same as the 8600, although this model offers a remote control to be able to control it. Annoyingly, the remote is rather sluggish, so you're likely better off using the joystick sort of style switch on the back instead. In the menu, you can adjust all of your usual settings, including the OLED specific ones like the screensaver, which just dims the display when it hasn't detected any motion in a while, and also have the pixel orbiting mode as well, and also to initiate a minor refresh. Personally, I have the screensaver on fast on my display and pixel orbiting on normal, and the auto warning banner disabled, because that just gets annoying. Inputs wise, you've got two HDMI 2.1 ports, both of which support the full res and refresh rates, plus DisplayPort 1.4 and a USB-C ports for both DisplayPort Alt Mode and power delivery. You've also got a 4-port USB 3 hub, with the two yellow ports being for charging your devices. I should also add that the built-in speakers are actually really pretty good. You get two 7.5 watt tweeters and two 7.5 watt woofers, and it really does sound decent. Of course, if you're spending this much money on a monitor, I really hope you aren't using the monitor's built-in speakers, but still. And of course, speaking of the price, right now the 49M2C8900 is around £1,250. That's around £250 more than the 8600 that I use, although I've seen the 8600 listed for as low as £750 on sale, which would be more like half this thing's price. Despite this being one of the cheaper 32:9 QD OLEDs, and being one of the best gaming experiences I've had, I still wouldn't buy one. I'd buy the 8600 instead. As I said, on sale, it's almost half the price, and more importantly, it's almost as immersive, but it's considerably more practical. Games support 21:9 generally, and for watching films, it's perfect. The 49-inch just isn't as practical or usable, and for considerably more money. You can also fit other monitors around the 8600, which I find works better for productivity anyway, although, of course, those are my thoughts, but I would love to hear yours in the comments down below. What do you think about this super ultra-wide QD OLED? Is it something you'd be interested in yourself? Would you go with a standard OLED, or even just a standard, a 16:9 display instead? Feel free to let me know in the comments down below. If you do want to check this out and maybe check out pricing when and where you watch this, I'll leave a global Amazon affiliate link in the description to it if you're interested. You can also pick up one of my open source latency testing tools or open source response time tools at osrtt.com if you want to be able to test stuff like this yourself, or perhaps recommend them to your favorite reviewers if they aren't already using them. And otherwise, that's kind of it. If you want to see more videos like this one, you can hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notification icon. Check out plenty of other videos on the end cards when they pop up. And otherwise, yeah, feel free to take a look at the rest of the links in the description if you want to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. This